Hi Anti-Society, welcome back to the Anti-Social Planet, and today we are checking out Dreamcatcher's new album, Apocalypse Follow Us. So I've already checked out Vision, which was their lead track and had the MV and everything, but today we're going to be checking out the rest of the EP, so the intro, the 3 full-length tracks, and then the outro, because you guys have told me in the comments you want me to check out the intros and outros as well, so we are going to do that too. I don't want to think about how long this video is going to be, because 3 songs is a lot, but I didn't see any like special clips or anything like that, so we're just going to be checking out just the tracks for the intro and the outro, and then the lyric videos for the actual full-length tracks. So we don't need to sit here and continue talking. I feel like this video is going to be long enough as is, so let's just check out the intro, Chaotical X. Let's just check out that one out. It's only a minute. How in-depth can we get? Ooh, I was not expecting the like intense percussion. I was expecting something maybe a little bit more eerie. Whoa, no, wait, those strings? Do it again. There's like really interesting strings that cut through. Ooh, before the drop? This is like a lot more like EDM than I would have expected. Very like synth heavy. It does kind of fit with the whole like cyberpunk thing that we saw in the Vision MV though, to have a lot of these like electronical sounds, but I also think it kind of fits with the, people are talking about how this whole apocalypse thing is very geared towards like natural disaster and like global warming and climate change, that kind of a thing. So having something that's very like technology heavy in the instrumentation feels very unnatural, right? It feels like this invading force of technology and artificial sounds as opposed to something that's more natural. And I'm pretty sure the outro for this album is called Mother Nature, so maybe we'll see a flip, like there'll be a transitioning point from the more like electronical sounds to something that's more like analog. That's my current prediction. I might be totally wrong, but if I'm right, I'm gonna feel really smart. See, I was expecting something like this that's a little bit more ominous. No like vocalizations either, which is again not fitting into something that's a natural sound. Because I think in the other intro there was, that I've heard, there's also vocals. Ooh. That though, it sounds like an alarm. Oh, I liked that at the end where it sounds like one of those alarms that goes off like when there's some kind of issue, right? Like one of those like warning, almost like siren kind of things. I'm very intrigued by where this album is gonna go sonically. But let's check out the next track, Fairy Tale. Okay, Fairy Tale intrigues me because we had the electrical sounds, then we had like Vision, which is again very like more aggressive interface, electric leading with the sounds, even like the really, I remember the really like augmented guitars where we had like really chunky sounds and they were definitely going through like processing, but there were also those times with that kind of dreamy quality. So Fairy Tale makes me think kind of dreamy, whimsical kind of feeling. So I'm interested to know what this is gonna sound like, but let's just find out. See, that it's like a very light sound. Ooh, very like bright synths in the back too. They did not put a fret slide into this. I love that so much. It's like so like 90s, but like in the best way. You know, like it's nostalgic, which I feel like might fit with this, like a fairy tale. It's like, you know, like it's something that you're kind of daydreaming about, right? But I remember that was like the thing if you were into like indie rock in the 90s. It was that fret slide was everything. It's like the drop at the beginning of the song or before the chorus. I don't know why that makes me as happy as it does. I love that. See, we have the vocal layers again that I was like, that was missing from the intro. This does have like a nostalgic feeling to it, like a, I don't know, dreaming of a different time. See, this very much feels like a dream, right? Like this is like the perfect place you can dream of, right? Ooh, I love the, we can just step back from the vocals for a second. The like guitar in this, it's just like the really short strums where it's like being palm muted, just puts like a ton of like energy into the momentum of the song because we're not letting those notes kind of fade out. They're very like choppy, which has this kind of bounce to it. You can hear it there. See, this just feels very like beautiful little note there at the end of that. Yeah, like it feels very nostalgic. It feels like the kind of thing that you would, it feels kind of summery, which I feel like is kind of odd given that we're releasing this in like autumn, at least where I am. But it feels, has that feeling of kind of freedom and carefree, and you're just like spending time with people that you love, and we're talking about like these beautiful scenic views of like water and sunrises and all that kind of thing. Like it feels very hopeful, and there's a ton of like bright sounding instrumentation to it. They're keeping their vocals very bright, that like forward placement in it. We have like Jiyu and Yuhyun who have a little bit of a softer vocal being in the chorus. We'll probably switch out, but having that softer vocal very much fits with this feeling of very light as opposed to something aggressive. We even got some, if it was actually Dami starting, which I think it was, she starting off this with vocals but a lot softer. I feel like she tends to hit a bit of a lower range and tends to be a little bit more aggressive because she tends to take over the rap parts most of the time. But even getting to see her on a softer vocal for this too. So I like getting to see that, like after, you know, Vision being very much in your face where it's like trying to assert yourself, you know, take up space, get people to listen to you. And now this is them saying like, this is our dream. Like this is our fairy tale. This is what we're seeing, what we wish for. This is the potential, right? I just want to listen to this part. Beautiful, that little lightning at the end of Fairy Tale. Ooh. Love that little shift in the melody. Ooh, and that like downward momentum. Even like them talking about like magical wind, right? Like there's just this feeling of being surrounded by like beauty and magic and potential and like safety too. Like there's this feeling of happiness in, there's just no conflict here. It's just this beautiful place to exist together, and you know, just saying like I can picture us together and being in this wonderful place. And I feel like the musicality really fits into that of just really like bright sounds with like the synths have a kind of dreamy feeling to them. I also love that we have the layered vocals in the background of the vocalizations because it feels very eclectic. So it's like them wanting to have a group of people there, right? It's like multiple voices living together in like this beautiful dream that they have. We also had the lyric about wings too, which is kind of going with the angel imagery we've seen. Ooh. Okay, so before when I was like the end of Fairy Tale where we had Yuhyun, at least that's who it said it was, who was very light, she flipped into a lighter sound with that. So it was already like a head voice and then she flipped into a little bit of falsetto, really lightening up that sound. And then when we have Shiun here, she's pushing more into like a mixed belting for this. So building up that momentum and really pushing the energy of the song, and we're probably gonna switch up for the bridge, but I love that shift in the vocals. With some guitar. I love me a good little guitar moment. Beautiful vocals, as always. Sorry, I just got my feelings there for a second. The like piano and Jiyun coming through. It just like had a moment where I was like, yeah, I want to be in that beautiful place too. Again, later vocals. Ooh. Oh, that's a beautiful little vocal. I was wondering when the chills moment would come. That's it. I don't know why I'm oddly emotional at this point. I don't know why I got in my feelings at the end of that, but I did. I think it's just like, I was one thing to say like, oh, wouldn't it be great to be in this place, this fairy tale, this dream that I have? And then I think it was just like the sincerity of it at the end, where we stripped back the instrumentation and you get someone who has like that lighter vocal, like Jiu, like there isn't anything in her vocal the way that she performed that. And also Yuhyun, again, having those like lighter voices for that part, it feels more vulnerable, it feels more personal because you have that lighter vocal as opposed to something very powerful and belty. It wasn't about creating the story of coming together and fighting for something like we saw in Vision. It was like a quieter moment of sincerity and really trying to communicate what they were feeling in that moment. And I think it just like got me. Got me a little bit. Okay, now we have Some Love. I'm interested in this one because this is the middle of the album. We've like shifted into the second part. So we've had, you know, the intro, which is kind of ominous. We had like the sirens kind of going off, very electronic. And then we had Vision, which is very much like, you know, stop and listen to me and understand that like we have to do something. It was like a call to arms. And then Fairy Tale being like, look at what we could potentially have. So I'm really intrigued to know what the rest of it's gonna be. Like this being kind of a shifting point as we get closer to the end of the album, where the narrative's gonna go. But let's find out. Oh. I'm sorry, what? Whoa. Well, hang on, I got distracted by the instrumentation. I wasn't paying attention to the lyrics. They're like a really hard hitting like percussion, but it's not like really bassy. It's not like you would get like a bass hit in something that's like more like EDM, and like little like synth noise. There's something very staccato about the instrumentation. So brief explanation of staccato. Staccato is very like cut off. So it's something that's very choppy. It's very, there's space in between the different sections. And the only thing that's really linking the instrumentation together is the vocal melody. Very different sound, like not in your face, but not like a ballad. Oh, I love that vocal melody too. Ooh. See, now we have some like actual like bass chords coming, and we're like the other production went out and we have some synths kind of filling in the back of it, and then the bass coming through for the like little breakdown pre-chorus. I love a little bass moment. Wait, what was that little drum thing that was like to build out? Oh, I love that. It's ooh, the little high note. Okay, wait. I need a second for my brain to wrap around the production that is happening because, like, what? In like the best way. I feel like I probably have a facial expression of somebody who's just like super confused. It's because I'm trying to concentrate on like everything. I'm trying to pick it apart, figure out even what the sounds are, and it's just, I don't even know what to say because I'm like, I don't know how to describe it. I'm loving the sound though. It has a bit of a funky feeling to it. I don't know, all of these little sound samples that are coming in. I thought that maybe it would pull together. Like I was expecting something that would kind of connect the sounds a bit more, but they're really focusing on like the vocal doing that. It still feels very staccato, very chunky, but it works. Like there's a feeling of forward momentum with it. It doesn't feel like it doesn't all work together, but that little like drum roll thing that was into the chorus, like it cut out everything to focus on vocals. Just some interesting vocal melodies. Like I feel I just need to go back. I love the layered vocals coming in at certain points too. I also love the bright placement. I feel like I'm like my brain is somewhat malfunctioning listening to this, but I love the bright sounds, especially after the last one we were talking about bright, light. We had some head voice and some falsetto. This one very bright, lots of compression on their voice, so it's very much sitting in like a mixed place when they're getting a little bit higher or comfortably in like their chest. So they're not belting or anything like that. They haven't started showing off with their vocals yet. We'll see if we get to that point. But they're very much just having that forward placement, so it's very much through like their nose and the front of their mouth. It has this bright sound to it. Oh, just like I don't even know what to make of this song. I'm giddy with it. Ooh, that little like scratch. The little like bubble popsy, like what is this production? Like who heard these sounds and was like, you know what needs to be put together into a song? These sounds. Like I need to know who did the production for this song. It's almost like a drill sound that they've like put through a synth. Ooh, I like that line of "draw me the way I think," because it makes me think of like how you see kind of like a future version of yourself, or like the potential of who you could be, because the whole point of the song seems to be very much like you can just get up and do it. Like, what's stopping you? You've got this. Which I think is actually kind of a good narrative within the whole thing, where it's like we start with vision of, hey, we need to do something, there's a problem, to fairy tale, which is like, here's a potential, here's what we could have. And then this song is like, we got this. Like, we just need to walk forward. We need to just like, like I said, like looking up at the sky, right? Like you just need to look up. You need to stop being focused on things that didn't go your way, the things that didn't work out. And I like the draw me the way I think of like, make me into the person that I already can picture in my head that I could be. See, even that worship is like, stop meddling over the line. I actually think of like, stop, I don't know, meddling always seems kind of like a frivolous thing, right? Like you're just kind of messing around with something without like really committing to anything. Like meddling isn't, someone who is really getting into something or really cares about something. They're just kind of like messing with something and playing around. We even have like her talking about a game like play my game, right? Instead of meddling around. It's like, stop just meddling at something. We say that where you're just trying something out. You kind of have like maybe one foot out the door still, you're not really committing to it. And then Dami saying like, play my game, like stop with all of this and kind of only half committing to something, pick an actual lane to be in, and her like saying, you know, if you play my game, if you join kind of our vision of the future, our way of seeing what the potential is, then we might actually get something done. Yeah, so like I can see the shimmering universe, right? Like she's like, if we like do it my way for a while, try it out. I also like where it's like color you and we had like drawing and that kind of thing where it's like painting a picture, right? Like literally of like, let's make something that seems like a work of art. And I said before in Fairy Tale, like we're seeing this very like beautiful, idyllic world that they're kind of trying to show us. And this is like, okay, we have that idea. Now let's make it. Let's bring that piece of art into reality with ourselves and the things that we have control over. Nope. You cannot change up the production like that and expect me to just walk on by. What was that? What is this production? When did the guitar come in? Hold on. Like electric guitar really high up. Like, yeah, I was like, ooh, that higher vocal. It's like a layered synth. A little groovy guitar at the end. It almost sounds like the siren in the production like we had in the intro, but like in a different context, like it has a different filter through it or something. I don't know. I feel like I will continue to marvel at what this production is. I want to know who produced it. I want to know if I can see the files of all of the audio layers, or if somebody can point me towards where I could find those. I feel like I need to take a deeper dive into what the production of the song is, because what even was that? I love the message though. There's some cool little vocal melodies in it too, because there's so much room for you to play off of different parts of the production. I feel like my brain will not be able to function and pull together what that song was until I've heard it at least a few more times. Let's move on before my brain like explodes. Okay, Rainy Day. I feel like this could go either way, because I'm thinking of the narrative while also thinking of the structure. I don't know, I feel like it might be a ballad. I feel like this might get me in my feelings. We're near the end of the album. Rainy Day, not always the most joyous time usually in imagery, but also I'm thinking of the like wasteland that we saw with Vision, where it was a lot of like desolation. Rain is also very like rejuvenating, right? It rains to clear away a lot of the kind of grime and stuff that you get in everyday life after there's been like a dry spell. And also it makes things grow. Like the rain has to happen in order for growth to happen. So we could maybe go that direction, maybe a bit of both. Usually feelings are complicated and you have more layers to it than just sad. And it could just be like maybe reassurance of like, it's going to be hard, but there's going to be growth on the other side of it. Maybe. Oh gosh. Okay, but as we're getting to this, the piano is like I was saying in the intro where we had very like synth electronic heavy sounds. We are getting into more like physical instruments, right? I even thought of it in the last song where they had like finger snaps as like part of the production. I mean, what's more natural than like making noise like that? So it feels like we're getting a little bit more analog, a little more grounded in, you know, a physical world. I feel like this is gonna get me in my emotions though. Oh yeah, this is gonna get me. No. Okay, one, beautiful vocals off the bat. I feel like I don't have to say it, but I will continue to say it. Second, there was like, I don't know, like a minor note put in there in the piano. It just got me my feelings. There. It's like there's a little bit of like dissonance in it. Like it doesn't fit the melody that you would expect. It's like a half note. I'm like, I feel like I'm getting lost a little bit in the melodies, but there's these moments of the vocal melodies where I was trying to see if there's like a storytelling happening with the vocals. And we had like here with Dami where she was like starting in like a lower note and she was kind of going up, and there was this feeling of like upward momentum even though there was still this like drop in it. And then it seemed like with Yihyun she was like going up and then dropping, if that makes sense. So it's like the kind of positives of like I'm remembering all of these memories, all these wonderful things that I forgot about you, and then kind of the sadness that comes after that. See, she ends up and then I mean, that's a beautiful note there. And then she goes down. You see what I mean? Like where we had Dami ending her line on an up note, which has kind of this uplifting feeling. And then we have Yuan saying all of those things that we had are gone now. So even though I remember, it doesn't change the fact that they're gone. So then ending on a note, I mean, beautiful like note higher up, light, airy. I love how she kind of let it fade out because there's a lot of emotion to that, right? Where like you kind of lose your ability to speak, especially since she's saying something's gone, right? So it's this feeling of fading and then ending on that dropping melody. It has a little bit of a sadder feeling to it in contrast. There's such interesting notes that they're hitting in the melodies because they're kind of doing that half note thing where there's this feeling of it's staying within the minor, but it feels unfinished, which is something that I always say with like half notes, because usually in scales you're moving a whole note, with a couple of exceptions, but you're moving a whole note between one and the next, and having the melodies not move in those full notes has this feeling of hesitancy and unfinishedness, and it feels like they're stuck in this place in between of like actually getting to where they want to be and where they were. And I love the imagery of like even within an umbrella I'm fine, like it's there's almost something, like I said before, but like rejuvenating in the rain, right? Of it's almost like they're there in the rain, in the sadness and the memories of the thing that they can't have, but it's not all bad, right? Like it's something that needs to happen. There's something cleansing about being in that moment and needing to be in that moment, right? You can't just push something away forever. You have to let your emotions process. And there's something, I'm trying to like fit it within the narrative too, of like, it also feels kind of like whatever the world was before, you know, we had like Envision where there was this, you know, apocalypse, this disaster. It's like there was a world before that. And I feel like this is nostalgic of that, but also understanding that that's the world before. Like you can't go back to whatever that was. And not necessarily in like a literal sense of the whole like apocalyptic wasteland that we saw in the Vision music video, but the whole feeling of this being a new chapter in their life. And it's like you can be nostalgic about where you were in your previous part of your life, but it doesn't change the fact that this is like now. And I almost feel like it might be an actual person, or like them referring to a specific group of people when they're talking about like missing someone. I almost feel like it's talking with themselves though. Like it's them saying like, I remember walking down the street or being in this place when I was me in the past, who I was back then, and I'm not that person anymore because I've gone through so much and I've grown, and I can be nostalgic for that time, but I've still grown as a person now. Like it's not being sad that you're who you are now. It's just saying, oh, I remember like when I was that, especially since they're a pretty young group. They're around my age. They're all older than me except Gahyun, who's the only one that's younger than me, but that's still like pretty young, like you're in your mid-20s or late 20s, and you're still like at a young age, and like being nostalgic of the beginning of being an adult, and then realizing it's a lot harder and you have to grow a lot faster and figure things out, and especially knowing that they went through some struggles being a group previously and then having to start over as Dreamcatcher. I'm sure that they have some nostalgia of like, remember when I first had this dream of being a musician and being in the music industry, and I was so hopeful, and I had it in this like dream kind of pedestal that I had it on of what it would be like, and then it was a lot harder than I thought, and I had to struggle a lot, but I'm stronger on the other side of it. So that's kind of the feeling that I'm getting of it. Like it's sad and it's reminiscing, but it's not like destitute. It's just kind of accepting that there was a then and there's a now. I love the piano. I love that it's mostly piano in the production. I love piano so much. That's just like... with those slow drums coming in now. See, like talking about remembering a time I wanted to forget, like I feel like that might go with some of their struggles too, of like, yeah, there's some nostalgia for the good times, but there were also hard times and I don't remember it. Or even like I had a dream, like, you know, if you think of the thing that you imagined you were gonna have when you were growing up, like the thing that you're like, this is what my life is gonna be, and then you get a bit of a reality check, or you see how hard it is, or you change over the course of struggling to get to that dream, and then you think, I don't think I want this anymore. And I think that's such a hard thing to do. I think we're so trained with our society is like, have a dream and work for that dream and live your dream life. Like that's this huge thing that, at least in North American culture, we talk about all the time is, you know, living your dream life is one of the big things that people talk about, but no one talks about how devastating it can be when you realize you don't want your dream anymore and having to give it up. That note gives me chills. Oh. I love them all singing together. The lower register harmonizing. Oh, and then those upper ones. I like chills through my whole body with that. I don't even know what to say. I'm just like, what a beautiful song. And like, I'm talking about like when the rain stops and stuff, like knowing that this is temporary, knowing that this isn't going to last forever, but also they also talked about running out to the rain, right? Like it's almost like comfort and sadness, which I know feels like a bad thing to say, but there is in a way, like sometimes it's easier to just be sad about something and like you keep pulling on it and you keep bringing it up because you don't want to give it up, right? Like you keep bringing up a memory, even though it makes you sad, because you don't know how to let go of it. And I like them saying like, when the rain stops, like I'll miss you, because it's going to be, when the rain stops, it's going to be letting go, right? It's going to be giving up that thing that you're holding on to, that memory. And I love how all their voices come together. I love how they always do such a great job of having the individual voices, especially with the ballads that I've heard, where there's individual voices, they get to tell their story, they get to bring their character into their vocals, and then there's a moment where they come together. It's like this moment where they unite and they're a collective and they're there to support each other, especially since in this one we had someone in the lower range for the harmony at the beginning. It's like literally someone like holding you up, right? Like supporting you as like a foundation as you were telling the story, as you were opening yourself up to this emotion. I just need to hear it again. I like this too, where it's like, I don't want to drop the note, but it's like when I hear the rain, right? Like it's not being in the rain, it's like a distant thing.
시간이 오래 지나가면 다 있겠죠. 이 비가 그쳐도 난 여기 있을게요.
Ugh, okay, one beautiful ending. We just focused on the vocal, but also I love where it's like I'll forget everything. Like when the rain stops, I'll forget everything, and I'm like, oh, that's sad. Of like almost not wanting to, but at the same time, like you have to let go of things, right? You can't hold on to things forever. You change, you move on with their life. You can't live in that memory. But then having there where it's like I'll stay here. Like even if the rain stops, I'll stay here. Is like this feeling of yeah, I'm not that person anymore. I'm not in that memory. I'm not in that time. But it's still shaped who I am now. Like I'm still gonna be here, living my life, growing as a person, moving on and doing things, and it's still colored by what happened and who I was and the things that I've gone through. I just like that little hint of like a positive side to it after all that, but just gorgeous. Like I love absolutely every single one of their voices, and they've done such a good job throughout this album of having the more aggressive sound like we heard in Vision, and then the brighter sounds that we heard in like Fairy Tale and Same Love, and then this one where it's just soft, emotional sincerity, just like showing so easily the ways that they can control their voice and get whatever sound they want, even though some of them have like naturally brighter sounds, naturally darker sounds, more breathy sounds that they kind of sit more comfortably in. Just because that's where their voice sits like naturally doesn't mean that you can't train yourself to have more compression, have more breathiness. Like I love that we're getting to see all of that, and just the storytelling of the song is so good. See, I don't listen to ballads a whole lot because I don't like to get in my feelings like intentionally, but I feel like next time I'm having one of those days, you know, where you're just feeling a lot of things, I feel like the song will be very comforting. So let's see what the outro has for us and how we're gonna end off this narrative officially. Okay, this one is called Mother Nature. I'm very interested what this is gonna sound in contrast to the intro, and also if it's gonna be more analog, if it's gonna be more natural sounds. I would love if they literally took like samples of natural sounds and mixed them in, like even if it's just analog instrumentation of like instead of using a synth sound, they used something, you know, like we had like the bubble pop and stuff in Some Love, where, you know, that's like a very like organic sound that they're mixing in. Let's see though. Some wind instruments. Ooh. That's a vocal going through a synth. I said in the intro that they didn't have any like vocalizations. This one they do, like they're using someone's voice, they're putting a filter on it so that it works as like an instrument. Oh, I love that. It's like a human voice breaking through. The drums. I have the like, gosh, my brain is like turning off. But they're using a cymbal, right? That's what it's called. And they're using like those brush drumsticks on it. Someone who's actually a drummer is probably gonna like correct me in the comments. I'm not a drummer, I just appreciate. I have like I have no sense of rhythm. My body cannot work with two rhythms simultaneously. If you're a drummer, you're like something magical about you, because my brain can like barely clap in time while I'm singing. I love the muted drums too, like makes it sound a lot lighter. Ooh, little switch from the lighter sound. The drums almost feels like marching. Ooh, just like fade out. Ooh, I actually love that we have like the drums, and it feels very much like marching music. Like it's almost like we've gone through this whole change in the narrative and now it's like time to march. Ooh, I quite like that. Yeah, so I really like the narrative of this so far. It feels very much like this is the start of something. It's kind of in the middle. I know that they have another album that is like connected to this before. This is kind of like the middle arc, but it's, you know, starting off with like sirens going off, something is wrong. We have Vision saying like something is wrong, we need to do something about it. Then we have like Fairy Tale is just like, here's the vision, here's, you know, here's like literally what we're seeing, what the potential is. And Some Love being like, we got this, like you can definitely get through this, we just need to like go for it. And then having, gosh, I literally just listened to it, why is the name gone from my brain? Rainy Day. Then we had Rainy Day, which is like that feeling of sorrow of, yeah, I can move on, yeah, I can push for this new future, for this new path that I'm on, but I have to give up the one I'm on now. I have to give up the one that I thought my life was going to have, that I was going to be on. I have to let go of something in order to gain this new thing. And then the end there where it's kind of these dreamy sounds again, but then going back to that marching of like, okay, now we know what we're doing. We know what the problem is. We know what we're doing. We've accepted that we can't go back to what things were. Now it's time to actually deal with it, you know, and go forth. And I love how it like, if it's an outro, yes, but it's also, it feels like a new start, right? Like it's a beginning in an end as opposed to just an ending. Gosh, I have so many feelings coming out of that album. I'm still reeling over Some Love and the production. I feel like that's gonna be a rabbit hole that I fall down of trying to figure out what is even happening in that song. So much beautiful vocal storytelling in Rainy Day. Fairy Tale is just like it just feels good to listen to. Like, and of course like Vision is just like I've been listening to Vision. It's on my playlist and I've been shuffling. So it comes up every once in a while in my shuffle of my music, and I feel like I can take on anything. Just so much diversity in such a short album that like I don't think my brain can fully wrap my head around it. So I hope you enjoyed watching those along with me. I will put my playlist to my other Dreamcatcher reactions so you can check those out, or you can subscribe so you don't miss the next time I post a Dreamcatcher reaction, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!